Hello, friends. So happy to be with you today. Today, I wanted to start having consistent time on YouTube because I want to take this next several months and walk us through how we can start implementing self care in our lives as autism mothers. Now, if you are an autism mother, you know the importance of implementing self care. However, for many of us, we are so busy with so many other things that are in our life, taking care of our families, taking care of our children, that sometimes we allow ourselves to kind of be literally on the back burner. I remember years ago, I was seeing a coach and I was talking to her about all the different things I needed to get done and how I was exhausted and fatigued and burned out and all the things. And she said to me, Victoria, I'm hearing everything that you have going on. It sounds like a lot. And what I'm not hearing is that I don't hear you being on the list of to-dos, of self-care, of taking care of yourself. When are you taking care of yourself? Do you have that time pencil in as well? Do you have that time where you are intentionally and mindfully doing things to help yourself so that you will have the bandwidth, so that you will have the energy, so that you will have the mental clarity so to carry you on to do all the things you must do? And I listened and I thought, huh, that's so true. I don't do that. So, if this is our first time meeting, my name is Victoria Mattia, and I am also known as the Mom Care Coach. I am also known as the mama that started mindful wellness for autism moms. I have a blog, I have a YouTube channel, of course, and I also have a podcast. And so my desire is to help mothers around the world with their intentional needs. We have four intentional needs: mindset, movement, nutrition, and sleep. And when we implement those things as autism moms, then it changes our whole world. And so many of the areas that we may have struggles with, meaning like fatigue, burnout, overwhelm, brain fog, nutritional deficiencies, not being able to move our body as well. Maybe we have some diagnoses, some syndromes, some autoimmune stuff. All of that, we can start looking at these things bit by bit. And of course, for anything medical, you need to work with your medical practitioner, but there's so much that we can do on a daily basis that will improve our health position, just because we are intentionally taking care of ourselves. Now, how did we get here? So many times for so many moms, how we got here was because we got the diagnosis of our children being on the spectrum. But even before then, often we noticed some differences and we wanted to see what was going on with that. But even before then, those differences took up a lot of time, a lot of attention. You may have had other therapists or teachers or counselors to mention different things about your child. And you had to overcompensate. You had to become this helicopter mom where if you take them to a party or to a park, even without the diagnosis, you knew that you had to pay extra special attention so that they would be safe and so that others around them would be safe. Now, of course, this is dependent upon their ability to function, their leveled diagnosis, maybe one, two, or three, can impact how they're able to function on a daily basis and how much support they need to do all of the different things that they need to do throughout the day. However, in my case, my son has a diagnosis of level 3 autism, and he needs a lot of support to do the things throughout the day. So, from a very young age, I noticed that I needed to be very, very alert. He also struggled with sleep. He still struggles with sleep. And we've literally tried so many different things. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. And so, because of that, I had to be always on, so to speak. And you're always vigilant, always looking, always paying attention. And when you're not looking at him and he is asleep, often we are Googling, try to figure out how we can help ourselves and help our children, how we can help ourselves with increasing like a side hustle, increasing finances to help them do the things they need to do, how we can get more sleep, how we can implement these self care strategies. But we didn't call it self care strategies. I always thought I need better time management. I needed a better morning routine. I needed to get up earlier, even though I struggled with getting enough sleep because my child was struggling with getting enough sleep. This is a common story that so many moms, autism moms, have lived through. And because it's this common story and it's this consistent thread in many families' lives, then we become overconsumed. In the beginning, it is because you have to be, you really do have to be vigilant for safety. You really do have to make sure they're eating and drinking and doing all the things they need to do. Um, you'd have to be incredibly observant when it comes to how they can function. All of that is important. But over time, consistent, not taking care of yourself, consistently not practicing self care at all, not focusing on sleep because you think, well, I need to spend more time with them. I need to research this. I need to do this, this, and this. I don't have the time. Maybe you don't have the resources to hire someone who's with the child all the time so that you can get sleep and you can, make food for yourself. And so you get left with the scraps. And it isn't until you become really intentional about time management, which brings us to today's topic, which is routine stacks. We're going to focus on routine stacks and we're going to talk about how that can help you. So let's talk about what is even a routine stack? Now, habit stacking is something that you hear a lot now in the self development community. Let's habit stack this and that. And basically, it's the idea of creating habits by stacking it onto something that you already do on a daily basis or a monthly basis or however frequently you're wanting to create this new habit. A routine stack is very similar, but it's a habit that is already a part of your routine. And so when you are stacking several things, that becomes a routine stack. It's just a part of your routine. That's what you do every day. Then what's really awesome is that it becomes a part of your routine, your day. And you don't have to worry about thinking in the moment all the different things you need to do. How does that relate to self care? Well, that's everything. These routine stacks can be a part of self care. It can also be a part of your day. I'm a homeschooling mom, so it is a part of my day, how I set my day up to make sure we get everything covered. Guess what? I also have routine stacks for myself to make sure that I am implementing the necessary self care skills and tips. It's a skill, it is a skill set because we aren't, most of us as autism moms don't come into this process of being an autism mom knowing how to make sure you're implementing your own self care on a daily basis. Because when you get that diagnosis, depending on when and how and who it was that gave you the diagnosis, developmental pediatrician, neurologist, psychiatrist, these are all of the legal doctors that are able to give these diagnoses. Sometimes they give you what to do next, and sometimes they don't. They may give you a list of therapists that you are in control of making sure you reach out to them to get set up on wait lists or the actual appointments. And then other doctors don't actually give you anything at all. They give you the diagnosis and they tell you that there's no cure and you just move on with your life. And it's up to you to do the research to be able to figure out all of those things. Some states, they will have someone in charge of that care, meaning you have to get a caseworker or someone who's in charge of the child to actually do all of the research for you to come back to you. Problem is because if you want a different caseworker or if you don't want a caseworker at all, for some states you don't have access to those therapies. So there becomes all of these different blockages. And so it almost becomes a second full-time job to make sure that your child, that you have to advocate. You have to make sure your child is getting all the therapies they need, all the alternative therapies if you choose to, how to be in charge of their nutrition. Maybe they have a diagnosis of ARFID, or maybe they have a diagnosis of, just because of the diagnosis of autism, they don't want to eat very much. They don't want to drink very much. They don't want to do all of these things, or they're very, very picky. So you may have to get like a food therapist to help with that. There's also physical ailments that can come along for some kiddos on the autism spectrum as well. Maybe you need a vision therapist, which is different than an eye doctor that actually is more neurological. Maybe you need someone else to help with the brain balance, and that's your choice to do that. There's all these different things that you can do to help your child. Meanwhile, you're not actually taking care of yourself. And so what happens is weeks, months, years can go by and you start to not feel very good. Your body can start to break down emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. And that can impact your mothering. It can impact your work. It can impact your relationships with your husband, or your friendships, your actually other family members. All of these things are impacted, all because you did not learn how to implement the skill of self-care. So today, that was a mouthful, but we're going to talk about routine stacks and how we can start. So first, I want to talk about time blocking. I tell people, set your calendar up. Look, get a paper calendar first of all. Yes, you can do this digitally, but I recommend a paper calendar. So many of us are oversensitized to digital everything. And when we hear the little ping or a buzz or whatever, we have heard it so many times because of different things that's already in our calendar. It's not enough to create something in our mind, a cue in our mind to be able to say, hey, I need to look at this to do this thing right now. So I recommend a paper calendar. And what you're going to do is have an understanding of two things. You're going to have a paper calendar. You need to look at a week at a time. And then the second thing, you need to divide your days into your blocks. So if you have a paper calendar and you see the week at a time, all the days, Sunday through Saturday, and then on there, on the sides, you're going to have a morning routine. It's your first block. You're going to have an AM routine. Some people will have that morning routine and then also have a sandwich in between there, more like a before school routine. And they have an AM block, a PM block. If you work, you need a work block. You can also have a rest block. Okay. And then you have a night routine. So basically, for every human being, you need a morning routine, a nighttime routine. You need an AM block, a PM block. And then, so if you work outside of the home, your rest block can be like your lunchtime. If you work inside of the home, your rest block can be your kids' nap time if they're little, or it could be like time where they are playing or on a screen or watching a little movie or whatever. But I do recommend you having a block where you're able to either work or rest. Somehow you're able to do the things that you need to do. Because what you're going to do with that block, you're going to allow yourself to have some personal time as well. Now, in the morning routine and the nighttime routine, these blocks are for you. Let me repeat it. These blocks are for you. Your morning routine and your nighttime routine are for you. So if it is at all possible that you are able to focus on yourself and you don't have your child next to you at the same time, then these blocks are going to be for you. Okay. Next thing. It's important for us to be able to make sure these are blocks that we can implement every day, not sometimes. Sometimes it's not a day. Part time can be a part of what we do, but there's no sometimes, there's no day. Okay. So, this is what you want to have for your morning routine and your nighttime routine. You will find is that they kind of mirror each other. Okay. Let me explain. Your morning routine, you will wash up, you will get dressed, you will brush your teeth, you will have coffee or tea and or water, whatever you like to do for your morning drinks. And you will have breakfast or not have breakfast, meaning some people do intermittent fasting, and so they wouldn't be having breakfast. And then you're going to have some reading, whether that is like your Bible reading, which I'm going to recommend. Your Bible reading, I am a faith-filled person. I am Hebrew, and I observe Torah, and I read my Bible. So I understand not everybody's Hebrew that watches this channel, and not everybody has those beliefs. But if you're watching me, you know that I'm a faith-filled person. And so I am going to talk about Bible reading from time to time, scripture from time to time, prayer time from time to time, because that's a part of my lifestyle and who I am. But what you're going to notice is that that's your morning routine. You're going to put on daytime clothes. You're going to wash your face and your body. You're going to wash up. You're going to brush your teeth. You're going to have water. Everybody needs water. And then if you choose coffee, tea, however, whatever your morning drink needs to be. And then you're going to, if you have breakfast at that time, or if you do intermittent fasting, it'll be a little bit later. And then you're going to have some reading. The reading can be as small as a verse. It can be a verse that you're memorizing. It can be a verse that you're writing down in your journal. It can be a time that you're processing different things you need to do for the day. And then you're also, reading the verse. What I'm basically saying is what you're doing, it can take 5 to 15 minutes for that morning routine. It can also take longer if you have littles around you and they're asking lots of questions and they have to be with you all the time. The point is that you want to make a morning routine that works for you. Now, the routine stack is that you go from one thing to the other thing to the other thing in that morning routine that you do every day, and it becomes just second nature for you. You don't have to think about it. The reason why this is really important, and lean in, it's really important for you to have these routine stacks because as an autism parent, you have so much you have to think about, and often it's in the moment. When you are at an IEP moment or an IEP meeting, you don't have time to think about, oh, I'm going to say this when they say this. You may. And some of that, yes. But some of that stuff you also have to think of in the moment. If you are at your child's therapy appointment and they're asking questions, you have to be able to come up with answers right then, right? If you are, if you have questions for a particular doctor, you have to talk right then. In other words, there's so much of your day, of your weeks, of your months, of your lifestyle, especially even being the vigilant where you're having to watch your child all the time. If you go anywhere and do anything, sometimes you have elopers. I have an eloper, not everybody's an eloper, but we pretty much all are very vigilant and looking, especially if our child needs a lot of support to function. So because of that, if you want to practice self-care, yes, it has to be a habit, but it has to be a part of a routine stack. Otherwise, it's really hard for it to actually get done because you're one person, you're a human being, not a human doing. And there's so many things that you already have to do and that you are personally responsible for, especially if you are, parenting your child and depending on your own resources. You may be married, you may be single, you may have a live-in a respite person, you may not. May have a respite person that comes every day, you may not. You may have help with dishes and dinners and all of the stuff, you may not. We are all different, our situations are all different. However, even though our situations are all different, they're all there's a commonality with all of our situations at the same time. And so, because of that, the more that you can automate when it comes to your self care, the higher percentage it is, it will get done, right? There's a higher percentage that it will get done and it will get done in a timely manner at the time that it's supposed to get done. And that is the power of routine stacks, which I feel can be a little bit different than habit stacking because you're basically um, combining what you already do to learn a new habit of things you're wanting to implement, which is awesome. And that's where most people start. But a routine stack happens without you even really thinking about it. So, when can we do this? You can do this throughout your day, especially for a morning and a nighttime routine. So, a nighttime routine, as I said, they mirror each other, the morning and the nighttime routine. And that's why it's a time for you. And so, it's really important, if at all possible, for you to be able to focus on yourself. So, what do you do at night? Well, at night, you're going to wash up. You're going to put your PJs on. You're going to wash your face. You're going to wash the makeup off and everything. You're going to, if you have a tea that you like to drink at night, you do want to make sure that from the time you had dinner, 2 to 3 hours later is when you're actually going to bed. You don't want to go to bed on a full stomach because it impacts your sleep. And we want to make sure we're getting as much sleep as possible. So let's say your bedtime is 9:30, then you want to be completely done with dinner by 6:30. I'm also going to recommend that you have your last drinks at bedtime, whatever water, tea, whatever you like to have. And hopefully it's healthy. But you want to have all of that done then so that you don't want a chance having to get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom because that will impact your sleep, right? So, what are we doing? Our nighttime routine, we've already completed our drinks and everything. We're brushing our teeth, we're washing up, putting on our PJs, we're washing off the makeup from the day. We are doing a little bit of Bible reading, or we may do some journaling or some affirmations. We may have a personal development book we're actually reading as well. And we're going to have a little bit of prayer and we're going to get in bed. We may put on our Himalayan salt lamp so we can kind of soften the lights in the room to kind of prepare us to kind of settle down. We may put a little bit of essential oils on the bottom of our feet to help relax us, like lavender or cedarwood or bergamot. We may, or even some patchouli can be really nice. We may even put some oils in a little spray bottle with water and spray our bed and our pillow. We may take those essential oils and put a couple of drops on our pillow. We may put on the diffusers that has essential oils in it. We may do different calming activities that are pleasing to us. That is very calming as we are preparing to get into bed. So that is a time for you, right? Morning routine, nighttime routine. We can implement those same routine stacks of the things that I just mentioned that would be appropriate for nighttime so that you just go, go, go. You just do all the things and you don't even realize it's being done. It's being done as a part of your routine. And you can guarantee, because it's a part of your routine, that that will happen every day, which is so powerful. When you are wanting to manage your time better, you're wanting to organize better, you're wanting to make sure you are implementing those routine stacks that has your self-care inside of it that is focused on your four intentional needs. Okay. So as I said, they mirror each other. Now, your AM block and your PM block also mirrors each other. It is a time where you are serving your heart out. It is all about your family. It's all about meal planning, meal prepping, getting the nutrition, the food that that your family will eat. It's all about activities that you have to do during AM and PM block, scheduled activities, appointments, shopping, all the different things, whatever you need to do, and you have that block. If you're homeschooling, then of course it also needs to be in your day as well. And it's usually happening like your AM, PM block. Now, that other block we talked about, the rest time, if you have littles and you're working from home, maybe it is a work block that you have. Um, and maybe you call it a personal time block where it's 15, 30 minutes, an hour. Maybe you have support at home, other people to help you. You can do 2 hours, a 2 hour block. However, that works, that AM and PM block mirror each other because it is you serving your family. You are serving your heart out. That's what you're doing. It is not the time that you are checking your phone and all of that. We're not scrolling at that time. We are not doing any of those things. We are supporting our family and helping our family. And we are creating routine stacks for that, depending on the season of life that you're in, what you have going on a daily basis, right? And you still need to get that personal time in. And that can be during your work time. Work time it can be a personal time, depending on if you're working from home. Of course, if you're working outside of the home, that can be your lunch hour. Everybody's work hour can be a little bit different. If you do not work outside the home and you do not feel like you have a job that you are getting paid to do, notice I didn't say it didn't work. The reason why is because every stay-at-home parent works. Everyone works. Taking care of children is work. However, if you don't have a time in your life right now where you're not working outside of the home and you don't have a paid job that you're working from inside of the home, then you can have that hour instead of a work hour, it or a rest hour, it's just a personal hour. Maybe there are some things you need to catch up on while the kids are doing a little screen time or playing or doing a variety of different things that you have planned that you can plan in your day that works for you and your family. That way, we are able to cover all of our bases when it comes to helping our four intentional needs. Maybe that's a time that you could work out. You do like a little 10-minute Pilates workout at home or some stretching. So basically, you're wanting to have time for yourself and you're wanting to have time to get everything done and to put you as a priority when it comes to self care. Because when we do that, that's going to help us avoid burnout or heal from burnout, heal our adrenal glands, heal our mindset, our moods, our bodies. Listen intentionally to see what our body is trying to tell us. What does it actually need? And it's a really powerful thing that we can do. So today, I hope that you enjoyed this time. And this is all about routine stacks. You can actually come back. We talked a lot in this particular episode. You can come back and listen to this again. I'd say like the one big idea, I like to have one big idea. The one big idea is that routine stacks will change your life, will help you to be able to implement self-care that you maybe have been trying to implement for a long time, but you do it sometimes and it doesn't work other times, or you forget about it another time, or you forget what exactly you're supposed to be doing. When you have routine stacks in your day as a part of your normal schedule, then you will get them done. It just helps you to get things done. Plus, what if you have a day where you're not feeling very well, or you have a kiddo that's not feeling very well? If it's a part of the routine, it gets done. What gets tracked gets done. And so it's very helpful to have these things as a part of how you implement your day. So I hope this is really helpful. I hope that you're able to come back to it, listen to it again, see what you can glean from it, and then let me know what you think, what's working for you, where you would like to have more support. And I look forward to giving you a few more gems next time. Thanks. Bye.